Malik, I was talking with Xavier, and he said you guys haven't really looked at Louisville all that much, but they're playing a defense that's kind of a lot different than what they played in the past, more like Virginia's. What's kind of the challenge of attacking that kind of defense?
They definitely they do what you call like a pack line defense, so it's forcing you to make shots, and so that's just the biggest thing for us is we got to play together, we got to be ready to shoot the open shot, and we got to make them.
Yeah, when playing against a defense like that, Malik, what things can a team do, and things like a player like you or X who excels when they penetrate? What can you do to sort of try to get closer to the basket or maybe get looks there as opposed to just shooting from the outside?
Spreading the defense out and just keep moving constantly because you know that they're going to play great team defense, but if you keep them moving, they're going to get out of position. And, it's going to be hard for them to react right away. So for guys like me, Xavier, Trey McGowan's, when we're able to penetrate, guys that collapse in, and if we space out the right way, we'll be able to get wide open shots for guys like Jared, Cam Davis, etc. So
we had talked with X about this. I mean, the UNC loss was y'all's fourth one of the season, but the previous three were by a combined 12 points, so y'all were in each of them. How have you all seemed to sort of handle a setback like that where you lose by by so many points? Have things stayed fairly positive?
definitely, Coach always preaches this, next game mentality. We can't go back in the past and fix what happened. We just got to make sure, we fix, what we need to do to get ready for this next game versus Louisville. In this league, everybody's good, so we can't, get disappointed on, the last game for too long. That game happened, we learned from it, and we're just going to continue to get better and get ready for Louisville.
Clearly, the athleticism in this team is much better than last year. But other than that, what has been the biggest difference on your defensive improvement? You're averaging, giving up less than 8.5 points a game less than last year.
I think, first of all, we're playing harder. That's Coach Capel's biggest thing is, effort and energy. And then also, like you said, we're way more athletic this year. We got a lot of athletes on this team. We play a lot of, four guards. That's pretty much our lineup most times. So just being able to get out in the passing lanes, get in transition, that's our strength as a team. So I think that's the biggest thing, biggest difference from, last year's defense to this year's more athletes on the court.
Is there a bigger emphasis in practice on defense this year?
Yeah, for sure. We're always, doing drills to make sure our defense is tight and just making sure we're sticking to the fundamentals.
How much has that focus on defense helped the way your offense runs because so much of it has been transition driven?
Yeah, it definitely helps because if we get stops and we rebound, we're able to get out and, get to our strengths, like you said, which is in transition. So that's just the biggest thing for us as a team is that's how we create our offense is on defense first.
Kind of in line with the improved defense, you are taking a lot more charges this year, as opposed to last season. How much more of an emphasis has there been on it, and someone who was here last season? I mean, does that come from working on it more, or how much of that comes from just having new players and more athletic guys who can put themselves in position to draw those?
I think Coach, he always says, like, you got to do the little things. You got to do all the dirty work, make the energy plays, and that's what a charge is. So, we worked on that early on, and we've kind of just, it's become a habit for all of us when somebody drives, gets blown by, you got to be there in the help. And, we only have one shot blocker on this team, which is Terrell Brown. So everybody else got to get in there and, try to take a charge because we're not going to all block shots. So that's just the biggest thing for us, especially as guards. When somebody drives, we got to be able to step over and take the charge. So, those are winning plays.
During practices, what does working on charges look like? Like, what kind of drills do you do?
Sometimes we'll do like a shell drill, which is, two guys up top at the elbows guarding the wings, and then two guys, on the boxes guarding the corners, and coach a drive, past the one defender, and the guy on the opposite side, weak side help, he has to come over and coach it kind of like, not too hard, but he'll bump you over a little bit, and you just got to step over and take the charge. So different drills like that.
Do you ever wake up kind of sore the next day or any bruises?
Nah, it ain't that big of a.
The fact you gave up in the 85 points the other day, does that give you guys motivation? Because that was statistically the worst game you had on defense.
I mean, that team, I think they're one of the top teams in scoring as well. So obviously they're a good scoring team. They play well together. They make shots. So for us, obviously it's motivation because, we want to, that's our identity is defense and our toughness. So we want to be able to, keep guys under, 70 points, whatever it is. So I guess it's a motivation, but at the same time, you got to give them credit because they're a great offensive team.
Malik, I was just talking, I'm sorry, I was just talking to Xavier out there about, like, when he and then Trey, they're able to get by their guys, and then all of a sudden there's resistance. How, not difficult, but how do you guys, can you guys read off of what's going on when those guys are penetrating to make yourselves more available if you guys are playing off the ball?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's kind of simple plays in basketball. Just that's the IQ of it. Having an IQ. When those guys get to the rim, you got to get to your spot, whether it's spacing to the corner or even back cutting. Just making different reads like that. Obviously, those two guys are great at getting to the rim, so we got to be able to play off of that because guys are going to eventually step over like they've been doing, and we got to be there to help them out, to be outlets for them.
In the aftermath of the Carolina loss, Malik, I mean, how much do you guys sort of contextualize a defensive performance like that, where you look at like giving up 85 to Carolina is kind of like giving up 60 or 65 to most other teams, just given how good they are in the pace they play at.
Like I said, they're a great offensive team. So, I mean, I'm not saying 85 points isn't, I'm not saying that's a good thing that we gave up 85, but at the same time, they average, close to that, if not more, per game. They're one of the top teams in the country. So, obviously, we got to clean up some things, but we're a great defensive team, and when we're at our best is when we're playing really good defense. So we just got to make sure we continue to just keep talking and keep staying together on the defensive end.
I think you said Saturday that you felt like there was an energy lull when you guys went through that stretch where you weren't able to score. Do you feel like there's anything specific that you're going to do differently to correct that, or do you just feel like that was kind of a product of it being the first big game for a lot of the young guys and the atmosphere, and that it'll be something that resolves itself?
I think it'll definitely resolve itself. I think it was new for a lot of the guys. We have a couple returners from last year, but even so, I feel like that was probably the biggest game we've been in. And for the freshmen and for me as well, it was a different feeling. But I think that I don't think it'll happen again because we have the experience now, and we watched tape and we seen what we did. After that 12-minute timeout where it was a 1-point game and it just stretched out. So just making sure we just key in on that and making sure that we stay together and those when we get punched in the mouth that we're able to respond.
When you'll look back at the tape, and since you've had some time to digest it, what stand out as the biggest mistakes from that game?
I think it was that after that 12-minute timeout, we just started making boneheaded plays. Like we would go 1-on-5 in transition or something when we could have kicked it out to a guy in the corner or just pulled it out. And then that would result in them getting in transition. We wouldn't sprint back. We weren't talking as well during those, that time, and we weren't making the effort plays. And we weren't, sticking to our game plan, getting out the shooters. They got a lot of uncontested threes, and those guys are, they got a couple guys that can really shoot the ball. So that was just the biggest thing was, we made a lot of boneheaded plays. So we just made sure that in practice today we focused in on that, and hopefully we won't make those, same mistakes, going forward.